Well, thank you very much. All right, look, I'll start this off then. It's going to be a bit jarring and a bit uncomfortable, a bit like many first experiences. This is Ukes with Alex, and my guest today is Matt Warnes from World of Ukes. Hi, good Matt. How are you?
I'm fine.
You absolute sod. Brilliant.
Aren't I hilarious?
You're so good, so good. That's Zoom. We're doing this via the medium of Zoom, which has changed the world, and I imagine has gone from being a company no one's heard of in 2020 to bigger than Facebook.
Yeah, well, I've got my Zoom shares. Have you?
I got in too late. I couldn't afford it now.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it. So Matt, for people at home who only know that this is Matt from World of Ukes, who are you?
Well, I'm Matt from World of Ukes, as you said. I also edit and produce UKE Magazine, the UK's magazine for ukulele players. I'm also in a band called the League of Ukulele Gentlemen, who tour about the UK and Europe, or used to do, pre-COVID. And I also run some ukulele events with my friend Andy. So we've done all sorts of things from boats going down the Thames, party boats, to ukulele trains, to residential weekends, that sort of thing.
Cool. So you do a little bit of everything, but it all involves the ukulele.
It is very ukulele-centric.
Yeah,
I find my life particularly like that. Do you find that at all, Alex?
Yeah, everything. Everything is uke-related. I find myself, even my newborn, who won't stop crying. The only thing that stops him crying is the ukulele, but only if I play songs I don't want to play. You know?
Oh, really?
just ukulele. Everything in my life is ukulele. And I think that's why we get on so well, is we kind of understand you have to be able to laugh at it. And
yes, I think, yeah. It comes across when you are borderline obsessed, but you know, when doing what we do, that is a bonus, you know.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I'd rather be obsessed with something and know I like learning, and I feel like I'm always learning something new about the ukulele, because it's not like guitar where everybody's covered it forever.
Yeah.
So you learn something new. Maybe not every day, but every other day I feel like I learn something new. About you?
Definitely. Yeah. No, I think I think learning is, you know, you've covered that so well in that guitar analogy, and so many guitarists out there that it's very hard to do anything new, learn anything new. Whereas ukulele, it's you know, we're always coming across new models, new artists, new things that you can do with the ukulele. So yeah, it's pretty much a big part of my life. I think I'm probably an obsessive person anyway. So I used to work a long time ago for a major UK bank dealing with complaints at the head office. I was pretty much obsessed with that. You know, I would think about corporate communications at 2:00 in the morning and start planning letters and stuff. So being involved with something that's a lot more fun and accepting that I'm going to go all out with it is probably a bonus to me. You know, that's just my personality. So
no, I may as well
do with something nice.
And are you? I know obviously everyone, as we record this now, no one's really gigging, but with the League of Ukulele Gentlemen, are you kind of actively outperforming regularly, or is it more a recorded project just for people at home?
It's definitely more performing than recording. We have done some recording, but we tend to get festival engagements largely, but a lot more local things recently. So yeah, we don't really have time. Well, it sounds,
no,
we don't have time to record, darling. It's not supposed to be like that. It's, you know, you get, there's a gig in a couple of weeks, and then you've got to work in between, and it's quite hard to make the time to do recording. But it's mostly live, and traveling and the experience and music and friendship. Oh, the violin.
That's what it's all about. I think I spent a lot of my, I won't make this all about me. I completely relate, because I spent a lot of my sort of 16 to about 26, really trying to actively pursue original music as my career. And I look back at it now, sort of 10 years later, and I didn't really enjoy the bits I should have enjoyed. I was always concentrating on trying to raise money to record and do this and do that, ultimately to sell probably 500 albums, you know. And if I just absorbed more of what I was doing at the time, I'd have been doing it for the right reasons, as opposed to now where I don't really do any of it. When I get an opportunity like that, I don't know, I cherish it. So is that what led you to the events, being in a band? Did you kind of put on your own events first because you were in a band, or was it the other way around?
No, it was more the other way around. In the early days, it was just to see what was possible. You know, there's all this interest building with ukuleles, and you think of all sorts of other genres. They have residentials and conventions and that sort of thing. It was just to see what was possible, and there's been some really interesting and fun events, and they are, as a born worrier, they age me terribly.
Yeah.
But when I actually get to the event itself, I find that I've worried about every detail so much that if anything does crop up, I've pretty much I know how to react. Oh, I thought about that on September the 12th at 4 a.m. And so I'll put that plan into action.
It's a good job that you got up at the time and wrote down that you were worried about it at 4 a.m. I suppose. I guess you have to be somebody who's nervous to run these events. But I mean, I get customers all the time come in the shop and just tell me how much they've enjoyed them. And we like it when you do one in the south, because we tend to get a cluster of people that come not together, but they meet people at the time when they're in the shop, that they're all on the same journey to an event via our shop or from.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's so. So yeah, I always like hearing about your events. I should come to one, really, and maybe I'll see people at home watching this at an event in the future, I guess.
Hope so.
But yeah, no, I've heard good things. So I mean, going back just to the beginning, so you were working for a major bank. What led you to the ukulele? Like, how did you find the ukulele? Was it an accident? Do you play other instruments, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I'd always played guitar, bands at school, university. They were never very good. A band I was in at Leeds University called Chaser. I'd say that there was more activity involved in writing the band's name in the condensation double-decker bus windows than there was actually practice and performance. But no, I've certainly always been involved and interested. But, you know, I've got on the corporate ladder and had a family. So it kind of took a back burner. And I don't think it was ever that good. I had some skills, but I could never piece them together on a guitar somehow. I could do something for 30 seconds and it would sound amazing. But if you asked me to play for 5 minutes, or play a song, I couldn't. There was always a bit which I couldn't do, or wasn't interested in practicing enough. So, you know, I had a bit of musical background. The bank that I was working for went bust. I got made redundant and moved back to Cumbria, where I was born, and eventually started working for my family's business, Omega Music, which was mostly an educational music supplier, so they supplied schools, but they had a retail arm, and I wanted to get involved in that because web marketing was something I was interested in. So they were very big on violins at the time, and I said, well, I can help sell these violins. And my uncle was like, oh, you don't know anything about violins. I said, well, okay, well, I'll try and help sell the brass or the woodwind. We don't know anything about them. What about guitars? We don't know anything about them. I do a bit, but and I said, what about ukuleles? It's awful things. Twang boxes, can't stand them. Do what you want.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up getting involved. And I think in the early days, it was I was trying to prove my worth in the business.
Yeah.
finding a niche for me to do well at. And it was about the time when, you know, things were really taking off, and there was got a bit of a name for the company in ukulele circles, and it took off from there.
It's good. So kind of, you were forced into the ukulele, but it was kind of a willing, clearly worked out for you, because the ukuleles outlived Mega Music.
They did, yeah. I mean, my dad retired a few years later, and I decided to leave at the same time. But yeah, it started off as perhaps a happy accident, but I do genuinely love playing and writing music with the ukulele, and like dealing with people who are interested in the same thing. So it's been a very positive thing. You know, I always think at that bank, you know, there was a time when there was like bonuses and share options and promotions, and I was doing quite well financially. And now I think, well, I'm much happier now. I haven't got as much money, but it shows that that's not everything. Yeah,
definitely. Well, I've never been in the fortunate position of working in a job where I've had money, but yeah, I can tell with you as well. Even when I'm overworked, like I really enjoy coming to work. Like I enjoy, like it's become very trendy, I think, in the last 5 years, because everybody has learnt to leave a bad review if something goes wrong. Like customer service, it got lost for a while. Like you didn't get good customer service from music shops. And about 10, 11 years ago, when both of us were, you know, when I was just starting out here at SUS under Rob, and you were working, you know, under your dad, like the customer service element of it was what set us both apart. And that's why we kind of always had an obvious respect for you, because customers wouldn't ever come to us and speak badly of you, and vice versa, because
absolutely
we were trying our best. So I've never had any reason to think anything else of it. And I mean, I'm so glad for you that you've got your own umbrella and you do all these cool things. Like, can you talk to us about the magazine a bit? How long's that been going, and you know, where's that taking you?
Magazine, UKE Magazine started. The first issue came out at the beginning of 2015. It's been going for
5 years.
Over 5 years.
Wow.
I'm about to start on issue 23. So they're quarterly magazines, 60 pages, printed, and it started with my wife's a graphic designer, which helps.
Well, yeah.
And it started with this idea: could I do this? And I basically wrote one and paid for the print on my Barclay card and crossed my fingers. And right from the off, people were really supportive, and it's grown. It's got a lot better. So if anybody is watching and thinks, "Oh, I got issue 2, and yeah, that was okay," but it's much better now than it was. It's a lot more emphasis on helping people to improve their play, rather than, you know, like a celebrity scene, as much as there is celebrities in ukulele world.
The best bit is that there's not a celebrity scene. The fact that everybody is so approachable is what makes it for me.
Yeah, definitely. So it's always been, it's been a labour of love, because it's not. I would be better off not doing it in some respects, and trying to sell more ukuleles, because it takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make me rich.
No, launching a magazine in 2015, you're not doing it for the money, are you? You're doing it for the money.
No, but it's nice to have something to have and hold and think, you know, I made this kind of thing, and people enjoy it. And every time I get to the end of one, send it off to print, it arrives on doorsteps, and I think, I'm never going to do that again. But yeah. And then you get a flurry of people saying, you know, I've got the latest issue, thank you, really enjoyed it. And you think, that's what it's for.
Worthwhile. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that way about the NAMM show. I really don't enjoy flying for 13 hours, driving for 3 hours, getting 2 hours sleep, and then doing several 13-hour days, and then flying straight back. But I get back and everybody's so excited to hear what I saw.
Yeah.
And well, I see I see the content that I've made, and I every time I arrive back and I'm always just straight away like, I'm not going to go next year. And then like about a month later, I'm like, should I start looking at flights?
Yeah.
So yeah, I could see how it's, you destroy yourself, but at the end of it, what you have to show for it makes you so happy that it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's I suppose it's better than alcoholism, just about, I guess. And one thing we haven't talked about are the wireless festivals. That's something else you've been doing recently.
So that's when the COVID lockdown started. Basically gigs and festivals, it went like a domino effect. They were all going, and we thought, well, what can we do to perhaps do something online and do something that would help people, performers who lost some of their income. So it's basically been a series of online YouTube festivals. I mean, festivals are a difficult term when you're watching on the screen, but actually, because people can chat and join in a little bit with with what's going on and comment as the show progresses, and the interactive elements like people can this workshop, so people are learning, and there's an element where people are playing along with a songbook. It has some festival elements, and they started off very, very popular, and so pushed ahead and planned a series of new ones. And they've always been good and well received, but it has been hard to keep the momentum. There's so much
competition, isn't there?
Competition, and most of it's free. And this was, asking for, a modest but an actual payment, which was then distributed to those artists. So it got to the point where it was having to subsidise the payments to the artists, because you think,
can't do that.
The work that goes into making a short set on video is so much more than if you just tune your instruments up, do 20 minutes and off you go.
Yeah.
If you've got to then edit video, sync audio, and then, people work together, so they were bringing, when there was a trio, they'd have to, sync 3 lots of video. So it is tricky because there's so much free stuff. And I do worry about musicians giving everything away for free, whether people will get to a stage where they expect everything for free.
Yeah, conditioned to it. I've had a really good chat with you. Do you know Mark Gallagher?
I do, yes, yeah.
So he's a young guy. He kind of really pushes, and he's somebody who I've noticed in the UK just the last couple of years. He's trying so hard. And we were talking about it last night, just about how your music not having any value, it decreases your own sense of value. And I do worry for people as well. Like, my music never really made any money, but it always broke even. And I think it's hard even for people to do that now. It's a scary thing, really. It's something that we could probably talk about for an hour in itself. But thank you for doing the wireless festivals. I certainly appreciated it. I mean, I lost sort of 20% of my yearly earnings through the lockdown, and I really appreciated the opportunity. And I didn't mind putting kind of 4 or 5 hours work into editing and doing my set. Because it was for the right reasons, You
can see the work that goes into doing these things. You've got first-hand experience of having done it, and so to have done that and then do it for free, which or for people to receive it for free, which happens, is it's problematic for me.
Yeah, I understand. Let's try and change subject in a positive way. We've got about 6 minutes left until we need to cut this off. If anyone's wondering why, it's because I don't want to edit a 45-minute video. I want to kind of keep this at half an hour. But you've got a few exclusive brands at the World of Ukes I'd like to just ask about. So you've got Uluru, which many people will already know, and Miller ukuleles. I mean, starting with Uluru, what's the score with Uluru then? And where is that with it?
Well, I mean, I play an Uluru and have done for a number of years, and I played it the one I've got, I played it because it was something I could get, which was pretty and high. You know, it was a higher end instrument, and I thought I want something that's going to last me forever. So I got this Uluru, and I've always loved it. And it wasn't Hawaiian, and the only reason for that is there's a very good business down on the south coast which really specialises in Hawaiian instruments, and I think are unrivaled with their contacts and skills at selling Hawaiian instruments. So I was perhaps looking for a different niche. So these are made.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. No. I mean, we've talked about it before, Alex. If I was going to buy a Hawaiian instrument, I would not buy it from me. I would buy it from you. So.
Oh, you got to stop selling yourself short. I'd have no issue. I'd have no issues buying an instrument from you. In fact, I was even asking about the Miller ukuleles this week.
Yes, yeah. So it's just a personal connection, and I've been working with them directly over the last year or so, and getting their ukes in, and they're making a specific brand to my specification, specific model. Sorry. The Stadera, which is coming out later in the year.
Good name.
And Miller is a small family business, small workshop kind of outfit in Taiwan, and it's a long story where I was playing in Finland and I met a guy called David Chen, who it turns out I was at university with. He was a musician from Taiwan whose friend owns this factory, so it was a bit of a strange personal connection how we ended up. I ended up getting those in, and yeah, I like nothing more than getting a brand that I think I can really believe in because it's good.
Yeah,
people don't really know, and I try and do my best to get it out there, and I think that's what one of the things that drives me on in business is just enjoying that. You know, look at this, and and trying to get it more well known, as opposed to getting a really big factory brand and trying to beat everybody else at it.
No disrespect to Carla at all. I mean, we sell loads of Carla, but I feel the same. Just from our perspective, we had an Alcraft, which Korean is a husband and wife, and formerly a brother as well. And it just makes you so happy dealing with them and seeing that they produce some of the best instruments in the world, because there's more of you're part of their story then. You're not just this cog in a machine that you could never piece out which and where. Bird on a Wire as well. We did a brand called Bird on a Wire, which is a guy called Tom in South Dakota. Similar kind of thing. Just fantastic. That didn't work out just because we couldn't kind of bring them in at a reasonable price, and an instrument that's worth about 1,800 quid, you can't really sleep at night if you're charging people £4,000 for it. So but the Miller ukes look great. You can tell they've got a good they're inspired by the kind of Kamaka style, like the shape of them is very similar to Kamakas. We've got the rope binding, and that's always a good sign if it's made in Taiwan, because Taiwanese ukuleles are almost all very, very lovely. Inspired by one of the greats. And tonewood wise, what are they using mainly?
Miller, there's a lot of acacia, but they do all sorts. I'm expecting Parcel Force any moment with some more cedar tops, spruce tops, some mahogany, all solid rosewood coming today. So yeah, they do the full range.
That sounds really exciting. Sounds great.
Yeah.
For yourself personally, if you take aside your Uluru, which I think is Koa, yeah? It's Koa, your Uluru.
That's right, yeah.
A lot of people ask me about tone woods. That's something I've got to make a really long expanded video on soon. But
definitely, yeah.
You and I have probably heard the same amount of ukuleles over the years. And do you have any advice? You haven't got to kind of go too in depth, but just with a tone wood, is there a tone wood that you kind of have a real special, you hear it and you go, oh, I really like that. Is there something that you're drawn to?
No.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. Well, that was a fantastic.
No, I don't have a favourite. I often think with there's also sorts of other elements at play, that, how the instrument's made, the thickness of that tone wood, the strings, the player, the style, that it's difficult to pin down, like, that's always, I can tell with my eyes shut that is mahogany, for example.
Right.
I don't think I could do it very often. I do have a soft spot for mango.
Yeah.
And I've had this, whether it's a mental connection where I think, oh, mango, that sounds sweet because it's sweet, it's mango.
Yeah.
But I do think it has a sort of sweet, smooth sound, which I really like, which is very distinctive.
Yeah.
One of the, I'd say if I had to pick a favourite, I'd go for good quality spruce.
Yeah, well, that's a safe, good option. I think a lot of guitarists always gravitate towards spruce as well. But yeah, there's something about mango. Like mango, it is sweet. It's undeniable, and it's very distinctive, which is nice. I'm surprised it's only really gained popularity in the last 2 years. I mean, we used to do the Big Islands. We started doing them again, and Pono have always made a mango model. But so few brands have really embraced solid mango. And I was asking Kaimana Souza about that, and he said it's because a lot of mango tree owners can earn so much more money from the fruit than they ever would by selling the tree, that you've got to wait until the trees. But the tree is only fruit bearing for a certain amount of time. Right. So mango tends to come around in waves. So the more I learn about mango, the more I kind of like it. I like that it's complex, and that's why you don't see it all the time. It's not a seasonal wood, but it's kind of a generational wood, That's
and
cool.
Sustainability wise, when that tree's outlived its usefulness, if you like, they cut it down and plant new ones. So that's you've been mangoing a lot recently, haven't you? Yeah.
So I just had a Carlisle model, a Monaco model, which I must send a right-handed one when I have one spare up here, to send to you for review in UKE Magazine. I worked on that with Kaimana. I'll talk of that another length, because it's it's nice to talk to you, and I've got to try and preserve my things that I can say for content, so I don't run out. Just finally, when you meet people that are new to the ukulele, what's the thing that you show them?
The temptation is to make a crude joke. I don't know why. That's just me.
But apart from public indecency, after you've got, where do you go from there?
Well, often to the police station. No, I will. Well, musically, if I was going to show someone something, I might do something classical, like a piece of Bach or something, just to show what you can do. Instrument wise, not in order to sell them one, but I might show them the most expensive one in the shop, just to say, this is, in a way, it's just to say, this is a serious instrument. Here's a £3,000 one, sort of thing. Yeah. This isn't just painted, heavily glossed mahalos here. So just try and explain a bit about the world of ukulele. It's not World of Ukes, but what's going on and the communities, and we'll explain to people the countless stories which you will have had too, where people tell you, I've never played a musical instrument, and now 2 years on, I'm a member of 3 groups. I'm in a splinter group performing. We do gigs at care homes, and I wish I'd done it. I wish I'd done it sooner. And those stories are the ones that really, they really keep me going, and make me want to do it more. So I just probably would touch on some of those subjects, just to give people an idea of the potential of where it could go.
There is so much to the ukulele. Like, we barely scratched the surface today.
Yeah.
Maybe we can come back and do this another time. We can talk about some of our favourite uke artists, and a bit more about certain brands. Sound good?
Yeah, some anecdotes from the shop.
Yeah, certainly we can do that.
There'll be some good stuff we can do, I think.
Well, thank you for your time this morning. I really appreciate you coming in early, and I'll let you crack on with your dispatch. Oh, it's my pleasure. I wanted my first guest to be somebody that I had questions for, that I would be excited to talk to, but also somebody that wouldn't mind if it all went wrong and we had nothing to say.
Yeah, that's it. I thought that's what you were going to say. I wanted my first someone that it wouldn't matter if I hadn't pressed record.
Well, yeah. Well, no offense to you, but I'm glad that you won't be offended if I've messed up the recording process here. But look, have a good day, though, Matt. Thank you so much.
And
mate.
Thank you for having me on. Hope your channel and your Patreon is a big success, because Alex is a nice guy. So if you're watching it, keep paying it.
Thanks, mate. And when I get that first paycheck, I'll be sure to pay you what I owe you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All the best, mate. Have a good day. Bye.
Take care, Alex. Bye-bye.